Hey everyone, COE33 here, and today I'm going to share Leaf and I's method for creating reproduction game cases. Now, oftentimes we'll be out game hunting and looking for video games, and we come across titles that we want, but they're loose. So we'll pick them up, we'll bring them home, and of course we want to display them on the shelf, we want to protect them from dust, we want to have a little shelf candy, so we make reproduction cases. And we got a few requests on the channel to share our method for creating these cases, so I thought this would be a good time to go ahead and do that. So starting with the materials you're going to need a quality paper, and I recommend this. This is a Canon matte photo paper. I purchased this on Amazon, and I quite like it, and it's fairly affordable. I believe this is $5.99 for 50 sheets. Now, if you find a better deal, any matte photo paper will work, or a glossy photo paper. That's a personal preference. I prefer a matte photo paper, and I wouldn't recommend using regular copy paper, as the quality of the print job will not be as good. And you're going to need a cutting tool. Now, you can use scissors, that's fine. But if you want to get professional results every time and you want to speed up the process, I recommend one of these cutting tools, and something with a large base where you can put the paper on here and have a solid working surface is definitely something I recommend. And then you're going to need cases, and there's several different options, so depending on what you're going to be making a case for. If you're going to make a reproduction case for DS or for Game Boy Advance, you can pick up these replacement DS cases for about $1 to $2. It varies quite a bit on eBay. And I purchased a large box here quite a while ago for $20 or $25. I can't quite remember, but it was a good deal. And that's quite a few cases, and we still have plenty left. Now, these are great because you can put the DS games here, or you can make reproduction Game Boy Advance cases and put them right here. So dual purpose, very versatile. And these are definitely nice to have. And we actually see these pretty frequently at like Goodwill. They bundle them up, and when we see that, we go ahead and pick those up as well. And then if you are making a reproduction case for a Genesis cart or a Nintendo 64 cart, something like that, then you can go ahead and pick up these universal game cases. And these are pretty nifty because they are compatible with multiple different styles of cart games. And they're a little bit more spendy. I believe currently they're around $2.50 a piece, which is a bit much in my opinion. But they are multifunctional. I find the Genesis carts, they go in the middle here. They're a little bit loose in here, which is unfortunate, so it's not perfect. And also there's no clips for the manuals. But other than those two little gripes, they do serve a purpose, and they're nice to have around. And then for disc-based games, you can just use standard DVD cases, and these are very affordable online. I'll leave links to all the materials that I currently am using for this project. Most of them I get on Amazon.com, and then a couple things like let's see, what do I get? The DS cases I get on eBay, I believe, but everything else I believe is from Amazon. And these are very handy, and they're super cheap, and you can also get them in white for Wii games, so that's very cool. And then, of course, you're going to need some games, some loose games. So we have some PlayStation 2 games here. We have a Sega Genesis cart that's loose. And then we have two DS games right there that are loose as well. So why don't we go ahead and get on the computer, and I'll show you where I print out the covers from, and we'll continue this process. Alright guys, here we are on the coverproject.net, and this is a great website. I use it all the time, and it's a really valuable resource for game collectors. And it's super easy to use, so why don't we get started here. Let's see if we can get a case for a Sega Genesis cart that I have here, Forgotten Worlds. So to use the coverproject.net, you just go over here to the search bar and you type in the game that you want to find, and in this case it's Forgotten Worlds, and then you press enter, and you can see here that they do have it, Forgotten Worlds for the Sega Genesis, and then you just click on it. And now you have some different options here. So there's the retail cover, and it tells you, the nice thing about this is it tells you, a little description, the format, so in this case NTSC, which is what we want because I'm in the US here, who created it, the region, and then this is one of the best features here. It tells you what case type that this will print out. So universal game case is what we want in this case because that's what we're creating an insert for. And then you can look at the different cases, and if you want, say, the Japanese version, you can do that, which is really awesome. And there's just several different options, and it varies depending on the game how many different options you'll have. Now, in this case, I like the original look here because this is a game that I used to play growing up, and I want something that looks as true to the real cover as possible. So I'm going to say download, and this has been downloaded 596 times. And I'm going to click on that, let that download, and then I'm going to right click on it and say open. And here we are now this is for Windows. This will vary depending on the computer that you're using. But you go to print, and then when it brings up the print box here, there's a few options that you want to change here. So I only want one copy. We want landscape orientation. It's a letter, so it's 8.5 by 11, so that's correct. And then we have full page is the photo size that we want. And then for the fit, I want to go ahead and say shrink to fit. And then borderless printing on, like so. And then go to more settings and come down here to the type of paper. This is important. Change it from plain paper to whatever the paper you're using. So if you're using glossy photo paper, put it on glossy photo paper. In this case, we're using a matte photo paper. So I'm going to click on that. And then go ahead and change the output quality. And high quality is definitely recommended. It uses more ink, but the finished product will be better. And then of course borderless printing is on. Now if your printer doesn't support borderless printing, that's okay. You can do shrink to fit. You'll just have a little white border on the edges, and that's fine. It still works, but that's just something to take note of. And then you go ahead and print it out. Now that we have that going, let's look for the different games. So we wanted to find a case for, what is it, Mega Man 2 Star Force. So type in Mega Man 2 Star Force and click enter. Now this is not currently on the coverproject.net, and you will run into this where not all games are on here. And unfortunately there's not much you can do about that. If it's not on here, it's not on here. You could go to the forums and make a request, and hopefully someone will help you out and they'll scan in their original cover. But I have another DS game here, Mario Party DS. So let's see if they have that. Oops. Let's try that again. There we go. And they do have that, so we'll click on that, and they only have 2 options here. And it looks like this is going to be our best choice here. And you can see it says case type DS cape, or DS case, excuse me, US. So I'm going to click on that and say download. That's been downloaded 20,000 times. And I'm going to go ahead and say open and print. And then much like before, we want to turn the borderless printing on. And then we want to say shrink to fit. And then go to the more settings. And we want to change the output quality to high and the paper to matte photo paper. So it's the same with every different case, but it's important to look at all those settings and make sure they're all correct before printing. And then we'll print that out. And then lastly, I want to look for a PlayStation 2 game, and I have Rampage Total Destruction here, which I really enjoy the Rampage games, so I'm looking forward to getting a case for this. Hopefully they have it. And they do not. They have it for the Wii and they have it for the GameCube. That's unfortunate. They don't have it for the PlayStation 2. So I'm out of luck there. So let's move on to another one. I have Road Trip here. Let's see if they have that. And they do not. So let's try one more. We got Celebrity Deathmatch, excuse me. And they don't, so we're kind of getting unlucky here. I do have one more that we could try, which is Rocky. And they do have this. Now I find most of the times, usually when I'm looking for a case, they do have it. So that was a little bit unlucky there. That's a pretty uncommon experience for me. Generally, they have the games I'm looking for. But they do have Rocky here for the PlayStation 2. Now they only have one choice, which is unfortunate. It's the PAL version. And that's okay. That's not a deal breaker for me. We'll go ahead and print that out. And again, if they don't have what you're looking for, you can go to their forums and make a request. And we'll say open, and then just like before, we're going to print this out with the same settings. Alright, so we're going to let those print out, and then we're going to go ahead and cut them to size and put them into the cases. Alright guys, we printed out the inserts, and here you can see the finished results here, and the high quality print job on the matte photo paper definitely looks nice. Everything's crisp and clear, and the text is nice and legible, and it's definitely a nice printing job. Now some scans are better than others, so you see this one came out nice, and then we got a nice Mario Party DS here, but the Rocky print, unfortunately that was not quite as great. I'm not really happy with that. It's a little bit, I don't know if it's lower resolution or just looks a little bit faded possibly, but it's not too bad. So that said, we got some nice printouts here, and all we have to do now is go ahead and cut out. So basically it's real easy. We just cut along the white line where the white meets the cover there. So it's really easy. So why don't we try that out? We'll use our little cutting tool here. And super simple. Line it up just so. And boom. Easy as that. Cut off a nice clean edge there. And I'll repeat the process. Like so. And now you just take the case, the universal game case. Pop it into the sleeve. Like so. Put that in, line it up, and then close the case, and voila, one universal game case for a Sega Genesis cart. And you take the cart and you put it inside the case. It goes right in the middle here. And as you can see, it does fit in there, but it's a little bit loose, and that's unfortunate for these universal game cases. But definitely a big improvement, and that'll look nice on the shelf. And now let's go ahead and do the same thing for our Mario Party DS here. There we go, like so. And I'll take a little case. And then it fits perfect right in the case. And boom. Look at that. That looks nice. And there we go. We have one replacement case for Mario Party DS. And this is great if you're a collector. I would definitely recommend, if you ever go to sell these games, that you put somewhere on the listing that these are reproduction cases, because when you print them out at high quality like this, it's hard to tell that it's a reproduction. So definitely a little tip there so you don't mislead any potential buyers. And it's just a really nice tool, a resource to have as a game collector. And it's nice to pick up these loose games, especially when you find them cheap, and then be able to go home and create little cases like this and put them up on the shelf and display them and protect them. And it's something that both Leaf and I really enjoy doing. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. That was a lot of fun putting together. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, bye.